movement we're going to focus on is the push movement. And the push movements are those that generally work the chest and tricep the most, and are those that we don't want to focus on. The focus should be on back movements. There should be a ratio of 3 to 1, and you'll find all this information in the write-up. But chest movements are still important because as your back becomes stronger and your chest becomes looser and more relaxed, we want to ensure that there's an equal strength level on both sides. What I don't want you to do is jump into difficult chest movements right away, such as a push-up from the floor. For a beginner, that's a very hard movement. And if you have any deficiencies in your shoulders, if you have any deficiencies in your chest or any potential for injury, it's quite possible that that may happen doing them repeatedly from the floor. How do we start this movement then and make it easier without neglecting it completely? Well, to make things easier, you can always angle yourself in a different direction. On the floor is more difficult, so as the angle goes upward, the movement becomes easier. I have, for my usage here, a lifeguard tower that's going to help me show you how we're going to do this. Again, we're starting with feet a little bit closer than hip width apart. The further in you come in your feet, both in a prone position, which means facing the floor, and on an angle, the more difficult the movement is. So if this is too difficult for you with your feet narrow, go a little further out, and then go through the same steps we have all along. Feet are facing forward, slightly out. Knees are engaged and slightly out. Your abs are going to be pulled in, but your hips are going to be, they're not going to be soft this time. I don't want to see this in a push-up. Your hips, you should be looking like a board, a very straight surface. So your abs are in, your hips are neutral, and your chest is up and engaged. Right away, this puts us into a good starting position. You're going to come down onto a surface. You can try your bed or maybe a bench if you have one at home. And your hands are going to be just slightly outside of your shoulders. So this is in, which is more difficult, and you can progress to that at a later time. This is a slight bit out, which is easier. Set your shoulders. Again, every upper body position should start with set shoulders. And here it looks like this. So we're going to set our shoulders down and back. Make sure your elbows are locked down. Push and back up. Again, come down as far as you can and as this will allow you to. From there, you can progress and make this more difficult by using, ideally if you have a bench, by making the bench lower or finding angles that are less than what you started with until you eventually are able to do push-ups from the floor without any pain. If you do this and you feel a pinching in your shoulders, if there's a tightness in your chest, if there's anything to do with the shoulder capsule that isn't functioning properly, don't force this movement yet. Make sure that you stretch first, that you do rotator cuff exercises, which we will address at a later time, or possibly even seek out a physiotherapist to make sure that you don't do any damage to yourself. Sound good? Let's move on to our final movement, the twist.